Can you provide a definition for the word woman?
Can I provide a definition? No,
Yeah,
I can't.
you can't?
Not in
Okay.
this context.
So you
I'm not a
believe the meaning
biologist.
of the word woman is so unclear and controversial that you can't give me a definition?
Senator, in my work as a judge, what I do is I address disputes. If there's a dispute about a definition, people make arguments, and I look at the
All right.
law and I decide. So I'm not.
The fact that you can't give me a straight answer about something as fundamental as what a woman is underscores the dangers of the kind of progressive education that we are hearing about.
I'm non-binary. So I just don't see myself as a woman or solely or, you know, I feel all of my energy. I feel like God.
I am not going to apologize for showing exactly and telling exactly who I am every single step of the way of my campaign. For the folks who voted for me, they know that Tiara Mack is a silly, authentic, and sometimes bold leader. I will not apologize for being who I am. I will not apologize for fiercely leading my community with a new and fresh voice and mobilizing more people to stand up for their rights alongside me. I will not apologize for showing young queer Black women that they can live a joyful life and still make a positive impact in their community. And I will not apologize for being able to do a headstand. And I will not apologize for, you know, having enough cake to twerk. Vote Senator Mack. Vote Senator Mack.
In honor of Mother's Day this Sunday, we're taking a look at a growing trend in motherhood, women becoming single moms by choice. Advancements in fertility treatments and the expansion of medical insurance coverage have made it possible for more women to have children on their own. One of our very own CBS Morning producers did just that. I spoke with her and others about creating a family with only mom at the helm.
I had an aching to be a mother. I had a longing to be a mother.
At 40 years old, CBS News producer Wendy McNeil gave birth to her daughter Harlow. A lifelong dream so important to her that she chose to have the baby on her own.
I said to myself, in 15 to 20 years, would I be more upset that I didn't have a kid or more upset that I didn't fall in love and get married? And I was like, if I didn't have a kid, for me, I feel like my life wouldn't be as fulfilled.
She picked a donor and went through 3 rounds of fertility treatments. Holding Harlow in her arms is a reminder she made the right choice.
Even when she's like, even when she's like this and gets a little fussy, I'm grateful that like she made me a mother and that like I got this opportunity. She's my rainbow baby.
My first pregnancy with my son, Komet, I was roughly 25 or 26. I decided to conceive him. I had my heart set on being a mom. So during that time, I would clock in at 4 p.m., not get home until 12:30, almost 1 a.m. sometimes. And I would start searching. I probably had about 3 or 4 sites pulled up on like my laptop, or I had something pulled up, maybe a Facebook, because Facebook is easy to access off my phone. When initially I started looking and I typed and I had like any race, so many options. There were like pages and pages of donors, and mostly a majority of them were, you know, Caucasian. And then when I limited my search to African American, there was just one page of, you know, just a few on the page. It kind of shocked me a little bit, but I wasn't necessarily surprised. And I wasn't surprised because a lot of the families and a lot of the women that they use on the pages are Caucasian. I did try through IUI 3 times.
And without parole, where she still remains to this day.
So Arnold's nephew, you know, they went and threatened him. They probably brought him to the spot and harassed him.
Like, can you imagine taking your own nephew and being like, hey, you're going to admit to this because you're going to get off scot-free for it? Like, just how disgusting.
And then roping some other 8-year-old into it as well.
You had to say, oh yeah, I saw it too. Like, they should have been charged for that on top of it, both of them. Now, you might be thinking, killing a baby with a microwave.
Who killed her baby in a microwave oven.
Purposely killed her 28-day-old daughter, Paris Talley.
Cooking her baby to death in a microwave.
Some call China Arnold the microwave mom.
But family members are now criticizing the court, saying she didn't get a fair trial.
What you have is you have a defendant with no mental problems, and you have a defendant with no excuses.
She means so much to me. Sis.
The reason why black men do so much to degrade black women is because black women are finally no longer putting up with their BS. For long periods of time, the misogyny has allowed men to be whoever they wanted to be, do whatever they wanted to do, have all of this control and overpower the women because women did not have as much power. And the men could be who they wanted to be. They didn't have to grow. They didn't have to take accountability. They can do what they wanted, and they wanted to basically eat their cake and have it too. But now that women are waking up and they're having more power, they're not as codependent on black men anymore, because really the black women are the breadwinners now. It's requiring the men to actually put in the work on themselves, which they don't want to do. So because black women don't want to deal with them anymore and they have to deal with themselves, they're projecting all of that self-hatred onto women. It's like if black men just deal with themselves, they wouldn't be having this problem.
I tell people Idaho is not as racist as everyone thinks it is. So we are out in the middle of the desert. We're driving along, and I see a car that's broken down, and there's a black man. Now, there is not a whole lot of black people here in Idaho, right?
Not a lot.
So I'm thinking nobody else is probably going to stop to help this man. So I'm just like, you know what? We should stop. We should stop and help this man.
No, we shouldn't.
I'm like, what? And she's like, oh. I was like, no one else is going to stop.
Not my problem.
And I'm like, come on, we got to help this guy out.
No, we don't.
See,
no, we do not.
So see, I just got to say, like right now, like she said, we already had too many black people in the car.
Niggas already in this little vicinity. It's too many.
She said ninjas.
Ninjas.
That was ninjas for anyone that she has a speech impediment. It was
I a little slow.
What follows is a fact sheet about Gloria Steinem's operations against the various social and political movements in America, particularly her role in creating a hateful and virulent strain of black feminism that attacks black men while partnering with the white establishment. Gloria Steinem first came across the radar of black men in 1978 when Steinem put a book called Black Macho and the Myth of the Superwoman on the cover of Ms. Magazine, the magazine which she controlled. The book was written by a black feminist and activist named Maisel Wallace, who came out of nowhere. Wallace was in her early 20s at the time, yet she was being touted as the leader of black feminism. In the book, Wallace called abolitionists like Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth ugly and stupid for supporting black men. She called black revolutionaries chauvinist macho pigs and advised black women to go it alone. Gloria Steinem said that Wallace's book would define the future of black relationships, and she pushed hard to make sure the book received massive publicity. Gloria Steinem's work triggered a flood of hate black men books and films that continues to this day. Needless to say, some were quite suspicious of Ms. Magazine and Gloria Steinem. Why was Steinem sticking her nose into the affairs of the black community? So people started doing some research on Steinem. When it came out that Gloria Steinem was probably the ghost writer of the book with Michelle Wallace's name on it, Wallace had a nervous breakdown and went into hiding for 2 years. However, the damage was already done and the Hate Black Men movement was off and running. But the research into Gloria Steinem's background continued. What follows is the findings of many different researchers. Bottom line, the so-called black feminist movement was created and manipulated by the CIA from the very beginning. The only difference between black revolutionaries and black feminists on this issue is that the black revolutionaries know they were infiltrated and manipulated, but black feminists are still unwilling to admit that they were infiltrated and manipulated, largely because they are highly invested in the hateful brand of black feminism. As a result, the Hate Black Men movement has become more than just a political point of view, it is now a central part of the culture of black women, and this fact has led to the destruction of the Black Revolution and the complete distortion of black relationships. And the CIA had a direct hand in creating this situation. The facts surrounding Gloria Steinem's CIA operations follow. Fact: Gloria Steinem is a CIA agent and everything she has ever done throughout her adult life has been under the direction of the CIA. Fact: Gloria Steinem was recruited into the CIA before she even graduated high school. Fact: Gloria Steinem, who was from a poor and dysfunctional family and lived in a house without running water, was able to attend the elite and expensive Smith College. After she graduated, she spent 2 years in India spying for the CIA. She received a Chester Bowles Student Fellowship to study in India. This was a fellowship created by the CIA to cover Steinem's expenses in India. No one has received a Chester Bowles Student Fellowship either before or since Steinem received one. Fact: one of Gloria Steinem's first missions for the CIA was to manipulate the student movement. Most people are still unaware that the National Student Association was created, funded and manipulated by the CIA. Steinem did this by organizing student festivals in Europe in the 1950s and the 1960s. Steinem used the student festivals to spy on students for the CIA, and she likely used the festivals to recruit new agents for the CIA. A second and more successful mission was to shift the orientation of the women's movement and splinter the Black Revolution of the 1960s. Fact: in 1958, Cord Meyer, head of the CIA's International Organizations Division, had a plan. The agency would provide discreet funding to an informal group of activists who would constitute themselves as an alternative American delegation to the festival. The CIA would not only pay their way but also assist them to distribute books and publish a newspaper in Vienna. Among other individuals, Meyer and his colleagues hired Gloria Steinem to work with them. Steinem had recently returned from a 2-year stint in India. Fact: in 1958, Steinem was recruited by CIA's Cord Myers to direct the informal group of activists now called the Independent Research Service. This was part of Myers' Congress for Cultural Freedom, which created magazines like Encounter and Partisan Review to promote a left liberal chic to oppose Marxism. It was this operation that Steinem's student festivals was a part of. Besides spying on students,
And you have friends like Maxine Waters, Dorothy Pittman Hughes, Flo Kennedy. What have black feminists taught you?
Feminism. I mean, even before that, I remember I was working with the National Welfare Rights Organization, and they did the first feminist analysis of social policy I'd ever seen.
In April 1970, a deadly shooting incident unfolded at the Marin County Courthouse in Northern California. Law enforcement officers traced guns from the crime scene to their legal owner, an influential activist, author, and academic named Angela Yvonne Davis. They issued a warrant for her arrest. Suspecting the authorities would not treat her fairly, she fled. So the FBI put her on their most...
CBS News correspondent Daniel Shore.
13 miles from Paul Bullard's home is a public housing project in familiar red brick, Perry Homes. It is like most such projects in most big cities. And cemented into the red brick are a series of public policies that work against the children of the